jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports,
number 2 and number 3. So we was number 1 in Spence organization, the IBF. That's who we was going after. That's who we was number 1 in Spence organization, the IBF. That's who we was going after. That's why we was number 1 in Spence organization, the IBF. That's who we was going after. That's why, you know what I mean? But all you had to do was call us. We would have took that fight. You ain't had to fight Avenetia. He was number 1 in Spence organization, the IBF. That's who we was going after. That's why we was number 1 in Spence organization, the IBF. That's who we was going after. Hey, what's his name?
Desmond.
Desmond. Yeah. You know what I mean? I said, yeah, I'll talk to him. So they got on the phone, man. We can get that fight for you with Terrence. About it. I had a phone call from my man, Blue Blood.
First off, big shout out to the hottest chat in the MFing game. A-side official. No negotiation needed, period. Good morning to everyone that's in the chat. First in the building, MD Mills on deck. You already know. He said, oh, he got the Gordon Ramsay chef hat on. He's about to cook. You already know, man. You already know what it is. Appreciate the drop, man. Shaw News, the Sauce Experience, AK Showtime Shaw in the building. Hot topic, hot grease. Yes, indeed. Team Tuck official in the building. What's good? Big Blunts and Boxing. The GOAT is on deck. What's good with it, Blunts? Arnold Brown on deck. I see you in the building. Hey, this what's gonna happen. I'm gonna take you through certain stages to this, right? The Ennis timeline that doesn't jive up with boxing fans. Was Spence, not Crawford, his target? Like the thumbnail says, the truth and lies beyond the mic. All I'm trying to do, I'm not trying to talk about what everybody else is talking about, but this topic is intriguing a bit because the content is out there. So let me get back to the doomsday negotiation of individuals on the YTC pretending like they was about to make a Crawford fight happen. Now pay attention to the names he mentioned, primarily Blue, right? Which when this happened, I said, Blue Blood don't follow instructions like it's supposed to. Now hear me out. This is why you hear individuals, and not to bring in anybody else, because I like being independently vocal about the topics that I speak on. But this is where, Shaw News goes on a rant to help people understand that there's positions that you should hold and there's protocols you should follow, right? In this particular scenario, you're going to clearly see that you have individuals up here that's not in those positions to make calls and to understand what the protocol is. Okay. I'm explaining to you what I'm talking about. I'm going to take you back to when supposedly all this arrangement was happening, all the phone calls and liaisons, and people was trying to make Crawford boost Ennis, and it never was going to happen. It was never. It was good for conversation, but it was never going to happen. Let's go back to that fateful day. And this is once again YSM Sports Media. Salute to Jamil doing awesome job over there. He was interviewing freaking Bozy Ennis. Now, I would use somebody else's content, the audio, if it was out there. But this is the only place you can really find the content to kind of talk about this. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about this audio with YSM Sports Media interviewing Bozy Ennis 5 months ago.
He called me up and says, Bo.
Narrative that you turned down a fight with Terrence Crawford.
You know that wasn't true.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on it, because we never had a chance to talk?
Let me tell you about it. I had a phone call from my man, Blue Blood. He called me up and says, Bo. I said, what's up, Blue? I can get that fight for you, man. We can get that fight for you with Terrence. I said, man, listen closely. Make that fight. You know, we want that fight. You know,
see, look, listen, I'm be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? When he said we can get you that fight, we can get you that fight. First of all, let's talk about protocol. Why are you contacting Bozy about making this fight happen? Who is their manager? Then also, let me tell you how things work on my side of the house and what I had to deal with. When we had to plan for operations and whatever else, just simple shit that involved a lot of people, it's certain individuals that we had to talk to. Primarily, those individuals had to be the ones that was involved with the decisions that we're about to make. To tie it all together, we needed the individuals that was involved and everybody else that was going to be within the liaison to make this order go out for mission accomplishment. He said that we can make this fight happen. How do you know you can make this fight happen if you don't understand what Bozy and Ennis is trying to do? How are you going to make this fight happen, bro? You're trying to tell me you talked with BLK Prime and Desmond, and because you didn't talk to Crawford, obviously, and you talk to them and say, hey man, can y'all make that fight happen? You're dilling, dallying, and twiddling thumbs and all that. Who told you you can make the fight happen without talking to Bozy Ennis and Jerron Ennis? This started off all bad. Let's just be honest. This started off all bad because the protocol, how are you going to so-called communicate with individuals to try to make a fight of this magnitude, and you haven't even spoke to Bozy? Bozy said, hey, Blue called me up and said, hey, we can make that fight. How do you know you can make the fight without any negotiations, bro? You didn't make the right phone calls to the right people to say, hey, do you want your fighter fighting this fight right here? We was thinking about trying to make this fight happen. We're talking about money. We're talking about venues. We're talking about everything that includes somebody who's really in a position to make this fight happen. There's a whole lot more that goes into this situation than just a video. So right off the rip, Blue wasn't doing anything within the confines and the protocols. He don't call managers. He called trainers. Just like he called up Demetrius Andrade, and he didn't want to speak to the father because they had an issue. He didn't want to speak to the father. He just wanted to speak directly to Demetrius Andrade. Yeah, that's a fact. We got people out here thinking they about to make a fight without speaking to the manager. Those individuals are faking it. They're not really trying to make anything work. They're really the messenger. They're the mailman at the end of the day. Let's keep it cooking.
I mean, I said, we wanted him or either Spence. It didn't make no difference. As long as we get to fight, we see where we coming from.
He said Crawford or Spence now. Pay attention, Crawford or Spence. He said Crawford or Spence, y'all. Pay attention to it.
Right? He said, yeah, I can make that fight, man. But would you talk to Zab and the head of Blue BLK?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Desmond.
Desmond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I said, yeah, I'll talk to him. So they got on the phone.
So I'm confused. I'm very, very confused. I know at the time this was going on, I wasn't confused that I didn't understand what it was. I was confused at how someone can get on here and put up a charade as if they're actually trying to make this fight happen. Now, look, once again, I have to reference my colleague Shaw News because he's actually in a position where he can make the phone calls to the right people, right? And people tend to not accredit people who's actually in positions to contact and have conversations with people to make a fight happen. Blue supposedly asked, could he talk to Zab Judah? Is Zab Judah is the head of BLK Prime? Was Zab Judah the matchmaker? I'm just trying to understand how you're going to ask a father trainer to speak to Zab Judah, and your initial echo was we, W-E, y'all. We, W-E, just two fanatic characters. We. I'm curious to know who we was, because you said we can make the fight, but you asking Bozy, a third party, which should already been included before you even call him up. Some other your other people, you the silent partner. I don't remember silent partners actually trying to negotiate. I'm just being honest with you, Blue. But since your name popped up, I have to speak on it, right? So when I was thinking about this, I said, how can you reach out to a father trainer and say we can make the fight happen, but can you call Zab Judah? That's messy. That's sloppy. That's not good. That doesn't look the way it's supposed to. That's not dressed up. The core of this entire negotiation is rags. Right off the rip.
All three of them matter of fact, was on the phone. We talking, and I was taking from them that they really was trying to get us to come over their side. Mm. And I explained to them, and so the guy Desmond, he was saying, yeah, we can make the fight happen and we can do this. I said, well, listen, y'all make the fight happen. That's the fight that we want. Make it happen. You know what I mean? And we can get it on. So he says, what about you coming up? I said, no. I'm with Showtime.
Bozy said, I'm with Showtime. Now, Blue would have had any type of awareness about how this whole entire process would have worked collectively. And he would have attempted to organize this step by step and do things the right way by bulletizing this effort that he was trying to make. He was trying to levitate. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to levitate. Sometimes when you levitate, you're not actually going up, but you're going down. You know what I'm saying? So he was actually trying to levitate and be a part of something by using people's names, but yet he wasn't qualified, y'all. He wasn't qualified to do this. Bozy said, I'm with Showtime. Do you not think that the initial call from Blue should have known this shit? He known they was with Showtime, right? They had a loyalty pact with Showtime, period. They had a loyalty pact with Showtime, but Blue Blood requested that Bozy speak to Zab Judah. That's all backwards. Because if they have a loyalty pact with Showtime, and Bozy's later in this video going to say, hey, I'm not about that, just stabbing people in the back. I'm loyal to Showtime. When you made the phone call, Blue, he should have known that already. You wasn't just going to call up and speak to Bozy on some ghetto hook me up shit. You know what I'm saying? That's not the way these business works on that level. You're trying to talk about paying fighters thousands or millions, whatever the purse would be. And you're trying to negotiate a fight, and you're using the wrong channels to make the shit happen. It was bogus to begin with, bro. You did not use correct protocol, and Bosey's up here making it a clear point that I'm with Showtime, something that Blue should have known ahead of time before he tried to get all these people on the phone and get Desmond on the phone and waste people time.
You know what I mean? I said, now, you want to make the fight, you call Steven Espinosa and talk to him and discuss that. Because that's who we with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know? And when I said that, I said, plus I'm loyal to these guys. I don't just leave and go to another, you know, promotional company or whatever you are. And he says, oh yeah, okay, yeah, because it'd be nice if you know, come over. I said, okay, yeah.
See what I'm talking about? Bosey said, oh, it'll be nice. It'll be nice. What kind of ghetto shit did they try to run on Bosey? Like you want Bosey you want to call him up to try to make a fight happen. And you already know he locked in with Showtime, which is a larger entity than BOK Prime. But you want to run something behind the Wayfield Foods. Let me say, meet you in the parking lot next to the dumpster. Let's goddamn try to make this damn boxing deal happen type of shit. Let's meet at Dunkin' Donuts. No, the one in the hood. It's a roach or two in the coffee, but goddamn, you can scoop that out with a spoon and shit. And we can have, you know, breakfast at Dunkin' Donuts and talk this out. These are things you should already know if you ever feel like you want to venture into the big dog league and make the phone calls and make these deals happen. This was one of the most one of the most brightest reflections on what not to do in trying to make a fight happen at this magnitude. This right here, because Bosey said, I'm not leaving Showtime. I'm loyal to them. You're not gonna call me up and say, yeah, we want your son to fight over here and try to get me to do a backdoor deal. Look, people, the shit never would have happened. There would have been paperwork, legal paperwork. They was bonded by somebody to make a phone call to see if this fight could actually happen before they actually co-sign and say, yeah, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, I know that, but I don't do stuff like that. But I know what they were implying about. They wanted me to come over to their side. So I told him, just call Steven up. When you talk to Steven, call him up, and you know, and we can get this stuff together like that. And he said, yeah, well, we'll call him, and we'll get everything together, and we'll talk later on, right? So that was it. So I called Steven up. Was a couple of days later, I guess, when they called him, 3 or 4 days later. And I talked to Steve, and I said, Steve, what would they say? He said they was talking stuff, but they weren't talking about him fighting Boots, you know what I mean? Like that. I said, yeah, but that's what they were supposed to be talking about.
See how sloppy this is? See, in Bosey's defense, he's saying he wanted to fight. I'm not saying he's 100% honest in how the entire process worked. I'm not saying he's 100% telling lies on how the whole process worked, because this is a big topic on whether Boots had the opportunity to face Crawford and then want to face Crawford or whatever the case. And we're going to dive into that a little bit later. But, you know, Steven Espinosa is on the record is saying that they came with him with very little substance, right? That's no knock on Crawford. That's no knock on Crawford. Crawford was the cash cow in that particular fight. He was the one that was over there who basically resigned from negotiations with Spence because they was trying to make him fight for net pay after he agreed to everything and then want to move the fight to this year in 2023. So therefore, he was the main eventer. So anybody else is coming on board, of course, they have to make sure everything makes sense. It makes money and it makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
He said, yeah, we're gonna talk about it and we're gonna discuss what we're gonna do with with Terrence and Boots. That's what, you know what I mean? I said, yeah, well, if you want to fight, just let me know. That's just what Steven said. Yeah. Right? And they said, well, we'll call you later on. Never called him back. That's what.
Well, you know, what does that have to do with Crawford? Nothing. Now, when it come to, you know, the Boots situation on them trying to say, well, we was willing to take the fight, but they never called us back. Bro, y'all, you know, I'm just saying, if someone really wants to fight, you know what I'm saying? If it, you know, he can get in contact. People can get in contact with each other if that fight was to really, really happen. If the fight really wanted to happen, and we're talking about We're talking about earlier, you know what I'm saying, in that year. Because it was a situation where Crawford was talking with BLK Prime for a fight and stuff like that, right? See, this timeline is crazy because at that point in time, in 2022, Crawford had how many fights? Crawford had one fight in December. So Errol fought Yadinas Ugas in April 16th of 2022. And then when they was talking about Crawford was talking with BLK Prime and PBC at the same damn time negotiating in bad faith. The wild part is people are not willing to admit if they was up here trying to instigate Crawford to fight Boots instead of Crawford fighting Spence. You know what I'm saying? That was the big debacle that was going on people turning their back and calling Blue, a ship jumper or a fence rider or a double agent because of information like this that was coming out that, he was actually trying to make a fight with freaking Terrence Crawford and Boots Ennis and not Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? And knowing that Errol Spence was on the horizon, he was trying to make a fight with Terrence Crawford and Boots Ennis.
What happened? So they trying to say that we never turned the fight. I talked to Terrence last night. We never turned the fight down. We've been wanting to fight Terrence way back. So you already know that.
Yeah, was Terrence under the impression that you turned down the fight?
Yeah, they that's what he said.
So I'm gonna show you. And Bozy, this is no knock on you, but I pay attention to mannerisms, right? Look what Bozy said that he talked to Terrence, and you heard. Look what he did, y'all. Look, let me show you this picture right here. He starts scratching the back of his neck. That's telltale signs people, is trying to, come up with something. Well, let's go back to the video. That was hilarious, man. He started scratching the back of his neck when he said that shit.
The impression that you turned down the fight?
Yeah, they that's what he said. That's what
he said. That's what he said. He started scratching the back of his neck. Yeah. Terrence was under the impression that we turned down the fight. That's what he said.
He said, but I don't know who he was talking to with that about that. You know what I mean? But we never turned down a fight. I said, now listen to this. This is what I told Terrence last night. You could have fought us, but you're gonna fight Avenesia. And then I said, Avenesia, you could have fought us. And then Terrence said, well, Boots could have been number one in the WBO. I said, Boots wasn't.
So now we get into the ranking systems, which this was a big topic of discussion about the rankings of these two individuals. Not so much Terrence Crawford, but David Avanesian and Jerron Ennis. David Avanesian was in the IBF. Okay, David Avanesian was in the IBF. Jerron Ennis was taking the elevator all the way up through the WBO rankings and then switched over to the IBF to face Karen at the top, in January, at the top of the year in January, right? Pay attention to this shit right here.
Number one in the WBO. What's my man name? Virgil Ortiz. He was number one, and just somebody else, and Boots is number 3, I think.
So Virgil Ortiz number 1, Boots was number 3. That's what Bozy is saying in the WBO rankings.
In that organization.
Number 2 and number 3. Yeah, right.
You're number 2 and number 3. So we was number 1 in Spence organization, the IBF. That's who we was going after. That's why.
Did you hear what he just said? He said that's who we was going after. 1
in Spence organization, the IBF. That's who we was going after. That's 1 in Spence organization, the IBF. That's who we was going after. That's
so they was going after Spence out of Bozy's mouth. They was going after Spence. So this whole situation and way it blossoms is that when he finally got the shot in January for the IBF, that was their initial target precedence anyway. You know what I'm saying? That's what their end game was. They wanted to fight Errol Spence because they felt like, in many ways, that for one, they would collect a group of belts. Errol Spence style fit them more appropriately than Bud Crawford. And also, they probably felt that they had a better chance at beating Errol Spence than Terrence Crawford. So they went the Errol Spence route. Bozy said that was their target precedence, man. That's what they wanted to fight. Did you not hear?
That's why, you know what I mean? But organization,
2 and number 3. Yeah, right.
You're number 2 and number 3. So we was number 1 in Spence organization, the IBF. That's who he's going after. That's why, you know what I mean? But all you had to do is call us. We would have took that fight. You didn't have to fight Avanesha.
So you saying all the champ has to do. Now pay attention so I can provide some clarity to this, right? I never hear someone telling these other fighters like Canelo Alvarez what they should do when they at that level. This is what you should do. See, it's a reason why that person is at that level, because what they've done this far has been so productive that you have individuals coming looking for them and they want to grace the square with them. You know what I'm saying? It's a larger purpose for people to grace the square with these fighters who've done what they were supposed to do to get to that point, right? So I never hear people telling Canelo what he has to do. You know what I'm saying? I never told people, I never heard people tell Floyd what he was going to do. You know, I seen Floyd take that sacrifice with Oscar, and from then on, he was in the clouds, right? But with Terrence Crawford, it just seems like they feel like this man was purchased off the auction block. You know what I'm saying? He was that slave that everybody wanted. And being that he's broken and he's a free one and he's been out here, he's out here in the real world being successful, they still want to remind him that, no, we still think you're the one that's on the auction block. There's no way in hell that he should reach back or say, well, I'm going to fight you all if your resume or your ranking system is no different than Avanesian. Now, one thing I learned, about the English language, it's one of the most misconstrued languages. You know, people, break it up into bits and pieces, and we have so many dialects and all this shit, right? So when you get a fighter from a different country, this is one thing that always amazed me on how I met people from different countries who knew English. But yet in America, when we hear names like Avanesian, everybody wants to joke about it instead of trying to get the correct pronunciation. You know what I'm saying? Avanesian, Abyssinian, anesthesia, and stuff like that. All to basically devalue who the person is, right? It's just to devalue who the person is. When we have some of the worst names as Black people, the worst names you'll ever find on a birth certificate. You know what I'm saying? Letitia Chachaquita. But you have people saying you're fighting Abyssinian as if this man is not in the ranking system. But Avanesian's resume versus Booth's resume is really no difference. It's really no difference. You can say you was looking for Crawford way back when, but you wasn't. You wasn't looking for him. You might have been looking at him on TV, but you wasn't looking for him, man. At the stage and the level that he was at that point in time, you wasn't looking at him because he would say, who is this guy? And then also we discussed this, when Green and Expert Genius was on the panel, we was discussing how he was in a situation. Boots was in a situation back in 2018 with Victory Promotions, with Chris Menendorf. You know what I'm saying? Him and his manager split. They thought they would be free and clear, but Chris Menendorf took him to court and said, no, you thinking it was just a managerial. No, it was a promotional deal. So therefore, Boots really couldn't spread his wings like he wanted to because he was locked.
What was Avanesian ranked in the WBO?
Way behind us.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So you.
So once again, Bozy's Jamil asked Bozy, what was Avanesian's rank? And then Bozy said, way behind us. And once again, look, I pay attention to stuff. Look what he's doing. He scratches the back of his neck again. No knock on Bozy, man. I'm just making light of this, man. So it won't be so serious, bro. I respect Team Ennis for real, man. But let's keep it rocking and rolling.
You really wanted to fight us, you could have fought us. That's what I said.
Yeah, I didn't understand why people just ran with the notion that you didn't want to fight when you've expressed that you wanted this fight for years.
But you've been on it. You've been on it. Everybody else been on it. We've been calling guys out. You said we take the fight. You know what I mean?
He said we've been calling guys out. We'd take that fight. I just haven't heard y'all calling Crawford out way back in the day.
So for anybody watching, did you turn down the BLK the BLK fight with Terrence Crawford?
No, but everybody know me. They know I didn't turn down nothing but my collar.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It was nothing to prove to me that the BLK fight was happening. It was just a distraction. You know what I'm saying? That's all. All that was a distraction. Terrence Crawford was the primary player at the BLK Prime situation. He was the one that was the main eventer in Omaha, Nebraska. He was the primary numero uno. He was the grand poobah on that night. If someone wanted to intervene and say, all of a sudden, we want to try to make this fight happen, then guess what? You had plenty of time when Crawford was so-called since what, July? Since July or something? If Crawford was there negotiating in bad faith and being a double agent and talking to two people at the same time, well, why wasn't BLK Prime able to reel Crawford and Boots in, and they had ample amount of time, and Spence was up there fighting, Yadina's Ugas. You know what I'm saying? And Crawford didn't have no fight until December 10th. He's coming off a Sean Porter fight in November in 2021, and he's heading over to 2022 with no fight. How can BLK Prime not reel it in? Why? Because Crawford said he was interested in the money fight. The money fight was Errol Spence. You can't interject yourself into a situation where if you're going to say boxing is a business first and then turn around and say, well, let's try to intervene in this fight. It makes no boxing sense. The business isn't there. If he's going to make millions fighting freaking Errol Spence for undisputed, why would he take a fight with Jaron Ennis, who doesn't have anything to offer of that magnitude? It is pointless. The whole charade to try to surf off the momentum of Crawford not having a fight, and he was in negotiations with Spence, to try to jump on that wave, not to contribute to the Crawford Spence fight, but attempt to make Crawford Boots. And he haven't even severed ties with the negotiation yet. You know what I'm saying? We was waiting for Spence to pick up the WBA title so we can go in negotiations with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. In the meanwhile, you have people calling up saying, oh yeah, we can make that fight, Terrence Crawford and freaking Jaron Ennis, when he has undisputed coming up for millions of dollars. Crawford had nothing to do with what the debacle was below him. That didn't have anything to do with it. I want to show you another piece of evidence. I want to take you back, because everybody is saying that this seems to be another topic that people choose to talk about. And shout out to MD, he dropped this to me the other night. And it's funny how we're talking about 2022. All this shit was going on. All the backlash Crawford received for supposedly, BLK Prime reaching out to him, and Blue attempting to be freaking, Paul Revere, trying to make some fight happen without following proper protocol. But peep this out right here. This is an article from ESPN back February 15, 2022. And the title reads as such: Jaron Ennis, Custio Clayton set for the IBF welterweight title eliminator in spring. Okay, if y'all remember, Jaron Ennis fought Custio Clayton, I believe back in May 14, 2022. Okay, so This article, ESPN, reads, Jaron Bruce Ennis is inching closer to a title shot. The rising star and Custio Clayton have reached a deal for an IBF welterweight title eliminator that will take place in the spring in the United States, sources told ESPN. All right. So therefore, the IBF was already on deck with the target presidents of Team Ennis trying to fight for an IBF welterweight title eliminator. All right, because who was their target? Errol Spence Jr. The winner of the PBC on Showtime bout will be guaranteed a 147-pound title shot and avoid a purse bid ordered by the IBF earlier Tuesday. Errol Spence Jr., who holds the IBF title along with the WBC version, meets WBA champion Ennis Ugas on April 16th. The winner of the bout will be mandated to defend the welterweight championship against the Ennis Clayton winner. Once again, the winner of the bout, we're talking about Errol Spence Ennis Ugas. The winner of that bout will be mandated to defend the welterweight championship against Ennis Clayton winner. Once again, the winner of that bout will be mandated to defend the welterweight championship against the Ennis Clayton winner. Okay? This is right here. Right here. So how is Terrence Crawford the targeted presidents when Errol Spence fought Ennis Ugas in April, right? Then Jaron Ennis fought Custio Clayton in May, right? So you talk about June, July, August, September, October. All right. This is when everything gets cooking. October. That's 5 months. We know Crawford fought in December. That's 5 months. I like the number 5. You know what I'm saying? It gives you a full grip on life. You know what I'm saying? 5 fingers, the grip on life, right? Within 5 months after he went in there and dispersed of Custio Clayton, and he was dared to fight supposedly per IBF for IBF title eliminator. Why didn't that happen? Why wasn't the WBO the topic of discussion? Why didn't ESPN release an article about Crawford? Probably because Crawford and Errol Spence was set to attempt to go into negotiations. And no one thought that a fight with Bruce Ennis in between time would make sense. But that's not even the primary. My primary objective is to get you all to hear that this is Errol Spence they was targeting. It doesn't make any sense just to say, well, you fight David Avisnezian and Crawford could have picked you all because Avisnezian was way below y'all in the rankings. And he could have picked you all. You're trying to tell Crawford and his team and whoever else what his selection process should be. You know what I'm saying? How does that work? ESPN was talking about this back in February 15, 2022. You heard Bozy Ennis say on the video that that's who they was going after. They was going after Errol Spence Jr. However, Ennis has encountered difficulty luring the best welterweights into the ring. A victory over Clayton would change that. I disagree with that. Because how much time does Crawford need? Why is everybody giving him the shortest, the most smallest window possible after he came off fighting Sean Showtime Porter? You know what I'm saying? A 2-time welterweight champion. How is he having problems with luring freaking, some of the best welterweights in the ring when you had Errol Spence collecting the final, the third belt? Crawford had the WBO. Those are the bigger fights, and they make the most dollars when it comes to the business of the sport. Then it goes on to say Clayton, a 34-year-old Canadian, was held to a disputed majority draw against Lipinets in 2020. His lone notable bout, Clayton is aligned with PBC, but Ennis isn't. So they definitely made that fight. We know Crawford wasn't aligned with PBC, and that's a whole nother landscape if you want to venture into that grid coordinates. When we're talking about making fights, you know what I'm saying? Would it have been extremely easy for a fight with Crawford and Jaron Ennis? I don't know, and it's not really my concern. I just know when a person has just left negotiations, right, and they align themselves with BLK Prime for a single fight, it's easy for people to all of a sudden come out the shadows and say, "Hey, fight me, fight me, fight me." That's been going on for decades. That doesn't mean you're going to get the fight. And if that particular challenger who's calling out Crawford's name doesn't get the fight, it doesn't mean that Crawford's ducking. It doesn't mean that shit. It doesn't mean that Crawford's ducking. It goes on to say Ennis is coming off a first round KO of Thomas DeLorme in October. Clayton, 19-0 and 1, scored a 10th round unanimous decision over, some guy Corral in December, right? Cameron Corral in December. Long story short, it was nobody of importance. It was nobody of importance that Boots Ennis faced that was going to pique the interest, except the only thing that stood out as a diamond was his rankings. You know what I'm saying? His placement in the rankings at the time. That was it. That was it. But let me take you back. Let me get out of here. And let me take you to one more that I want to share screen with, right? This.
David Avenesian. What happened with that situation?
Well, I didn't with that WBO route stuff. I didn't get out the WBO until after he made his decision to fight David Avenesian. People don't know the background, the timeline between it. I didn't fight for the IBF interim until he made his decision to fight David Avenesian. Everybody in the welterweight division was waiting for.
So once again, this is the audio that I was playing yesterday, but what I'm trying to say, and this is why I send sports media content, right? So what Jaron Ennis is saying is pretty much he didn't make the decision to leapfrog out of the WBO to the IBF and to Terrence Crawford, who's at the tip of the finger point. Jaron Ennis didn't make the decision until he decided to face David Avenesian. Now, the one thing I had to process, Judge Jaron Ennis, is that you have people that's doing business for you. We actually seen that play out with the information and the paperwork that was sent over to Team Crawford for a dead end request, knowing that he couldn't meet those obligations to get the IBF title. So for you to say you didn't jump out the WBO until Crawford decided to fight David Avenesian, it sounds like pepperoni pizza. As per Jessica said, it sounds like pepperoni pizza. The reason why I'm saying that is that why would you even wait? Why would you even wait to pretty much to say when you found out that he's fighting David Avenesian, when you have a team that will tell you straight up whether they believe you're going to get this fight or not? You have decision makers in your camp and your team, decision makers that thought that the safest route for you would be the IBF. I'm not lying, brother. ESPN had an article out in February 2022. That was the route you wanted to take. You know it, I know it, and everybody else know it. Y'all never had committed intentions to go the WBO route to face Crawford, man, prior to him stepping in there with Spence, bro. It's easy in the moment where Crawford is making these decisions because his end game is to unify for undisputed at the welterweight division. Your end game was to get a piece of the pie, right? Somewhat act like you wanted a piece of the pie. You want the IBF slice, right? I get it. But you really was hoping that if it turned out the way y'all think and y'all would get a beat up, Spence or whatever, that somehow, some way, if that worked out that he beat Crawford, you can go in there and be the next in line. You know what I'm saying? You can be the next in line. Y'all really wanted this, hopefully this Spence, because his style is more accommodating than Terrence Crawford's style. So that's why everybody over there was believing that Errol Spence was going to go in there and beat Terrence Crawford. When that didn't happen, then all of a sudden drastic measures took place, knowing that Crawford wasn't going to fight you. So the IBF, who you intended and hopefully that you was going to be able to fight Errol Spence for, they sent the bogus ass paperwork over there and stripped that man of his freaking slice of titles. That's pretty much how that shit played out. Y'all hold on. That's the way I look at that whole situation. Now, let me show you something else too. This is just a screenshot of Terrence Crawford, David Avanesian, Sean Porter, and Kell Brook. All right. So you take a look at the years. Terrence Crawford fought in 2020 once at the back end, Kell Brook. He fought again at the back end of 2021, right? This is all the information that was out there on the box rec. He had damn near Igis Kavalauskas, December 2019. He fought twice in 2019. He fought once in 2020 at the end of the year, once in 2021 at the end of the year. Then came David Avanesian. When he went up there and stopped Sean Porter in the 10th round, the whole conversation was Errol Spence picking up the next title, the third title, by fighting Yordenis Ugas, because we really didn't believe that Terrence Crawford would get the shot at Yordenis Ugas. Why? Because of who they were signed with. So Errol Spence came back and got the fight in April, and he went and collected the belt. But I'm just letting you know, those people that was pretending like they wanted to set up a fight with Terrence Crawford, and he was out there and they didn't turn down a fight and make it seem like Terrence coulda. Well, y'all don't keep that same energy. He was fighting at the end of the year. Boots had a fight in freaking May of 2022. So you talking about him coming off a fight where he didn't take no damage. Then knowing that a month before that, Errol Spence fought Yordenis Ugas. So it's no inquiring minds. The smart ones understand that the next point of business is to get Crawford and Spence in the ring for undisputed. No one really knew if the negotiations were going to fall apart. All we heard was, Crawford don't deserve this and Crawford don't deserve that. Crawford trying to get 35% and he don't deserve that. Crawford trying to get 40%. He don't deserve that. It was just all this back and forth. Everybody knew what was going on with the negotiations. And then all of a sudden Crawford walks away from negotiations. And then we start hearing the BOK Prime situation. Now, all of a sudden, the same people who was throwing Boots into the equation, check this out, the same idiots that was throwing Boots' name in the equation at the early part of 2022, knowing that Crawford had just finished fighting Showtime Sean Porter. They immediately start throwing Boots' name into the equation to my Crawford ain't doing anything. He had been off through the New Year's into the damn 2022, and they was up there saying, "Oh, Crawford ain't doing anything. He can fight. You know, he can fight Boots. He can fight Boots." But then I think about it. I said they was trying to treat this man like he wasn't an asset to boxing. You know, Team Ennis should be really concerned about how these damn farewell boxing fans, these casuals, these temporaries, is so quick to just try to ragdoll Jerron Ennis's name every time and just say, whenever it's feasible, let me throw his name in there. Oh, he can fight Crawford. He can fight Crawford. And none of them have any business dealings to make that fight happen. They're not getting your son any type of money. You know what I'm saying? They're not getting him any type of sponsorship deals. None of that bullshit. Nothing. But they want to say, oh, Crawford ain't doing anything. Put Boots in there. Put Boots in there. And then to know how everything, you know, played out with the BOK Prime situation just helps me understand. I mean, further confirms what I already understand, is that there's certain people that don't have a clue about how they should conduct business. First of all, being professional. You follow protocol when you do a profession. You just don't cut corners because boxing is already grimy. So you have a lot of people that's used to seeing grimy shit. You just don't bypass individuals that's signed on with the boxer and think a fight is going to be made because you bypass them, all because you have somebody's contact. If I would have wanted to speak to Bozy about Jerron, it wouldn't have been about making a fight. I would say, hey, who's his manager? Do you have his contact? We're trying to make this fight over here. So I want to speak to the manager. I want to try to see, can we get the manager on the phone and see if that's something that he would agree to or whatever he or she agree to, and try to make, see if this fight can actually happen. But in the end, Steven pretty much said they had no substance to try to make the fight happen. You know what I'm saying? That's no knock on Crawford's part. That's no knock on Crawford's part just because they didn't have, any motivation or no, you know what I'm saying? They couldn't put enough in it to for that fight to happen. We don't know the whole story. You know what I'm saying? We don't know the entire story of both sides of the coin. We don't know the whole story. All I know is it's so many people out here that was saying that, Boots wanted to fight Crawford, but all this IBF residue is out here. That's all we see. Early 2022, ESPN, IBF title eliminated. Come on, bro. Bozy said out of his own mouth that that's who they wanted. They wanted Errol. They did not want Crawford. And then Ennis says on camera that he didn't get out the WBO to go to IBF until he fought David Avanesian. What does that mean exactly, bro? That don't mean anything. Because just because the rankings said what they said and Bozy said y'all was way ahead, it doesn't make any difference because the resume was damn near the same. The resume was damn near the same. If you want to compare Avanesian to Ennis. Sticking Boys Fishing and Sports was good with it. Think or Stink was good. I see y'all on deck. Samar Warren on deck, man. Arnold Brown on deck. Yeah, they should have never got Showtime involved if they wasn't signed to anyone. It was just sloppy. It was messy. It was very messy. It was ghetto, so to speak. That's what you call project negotiations right there. Because really, it wasn't any negotiations. It's just trying to act like you want to put something together and let everybody else do the work. How you going to call Bozy and ask to call Zab when the primary players is the players of BOK Prime, Bozy and Jerron's manager? I mean, how are y'all going to say we can make the fight happen without even speaking to the opponent. The opponent has to agree, and everybody else around him has to make sure that everything makes sense. A fighter has to be paid. Fights aren't made by just speaking to the so-called A side and say, hey, man, we got this fight made. But we haven't spoke to the opponent yet. We haven't spoke to the B side yet, but we got the fight made. That's lunacy, bro. That's not the way business work. That's not the way business is supposed to work. That was one of the biggest farce that you would ever see in the YTC. You want to see a stage play when it comes to boxing negotiations? When people are here fronting and faking until they make it, that situation right there will prove to you that you just don't have to go to Netflix to goddamn watch some bullshit. You can watch it right here on YTC, bro. Shout out to Stonebone Boxing in the building. What's good, Omaha on deck? What's good with it, Stonebone? He took the stairs, then ran to I'll wait for the elevator. Man, come on, man. You know, the target precedence was the IBF. Y'all need to stop up here pretending like this man was at the doorstep just waiting and waiting. You know what I'm saying? Crawford was coming in and out that mug and just ignoring Boots standing right there. Every time Boots tried to say, hey, Crawford, but hey, hold on for a second. I got shit going on. No, it wasn't like that, bro. Blunt said, that's incorrect. Ortiz and Boots was 1 and 2. See, you know, we got facts in the chat, man. You know what I'm saying? We got facts in the chat. MD brought up a good point about this article. You know what I'm saying? If the article in the early part of 2022 was out there just languishing, right? How could you not think that every decision from you know, that was the direction and the end game on where Team Ennis wanted to go. They wanted to go for Crawford. And not Crawford, Spence. They wanted to fight him because, like I say, stylistically, they match up just like Ramon Villa and freaking Ennis. Spence is going to be right there in front of him. Whereas you got a much stronger, higher boxing IQ, more technically proficient fighter in Crawford that can switch stands and has a lot more mobility in the ring than a flat-footed platypus in Errol Spence. You know, and they was banking on, you know, Errol Spence being who they watched on July 29th. But see, what people has to understand, you need to look at how Shakur Stevenson fought Edward De Los Santos and how Terrence Crawford fought freaking Errol Spence Jr. Terrence Crawford makes situations look extremely easy, like he did Errol Spence Jr. Whereas Shakur Stevenson said he was injured, but yeah, you can get trained by Terrence Crawford, Bomac, and all them. That doesn't mean you'll go in there and handle the situation with a hitter, with a forward aggressive fighter like Edwin De Los Santos, the same way Crawford did Errol Spence. See, Team Ennis was hoping that they can be on the other side and put on a damn display the way, you know, Terrence Crawford did. But not everybody can go in there and make fights look so easy the way Crawford did with Spence. He made it look extremely easy to the point where he fucked up a lot of people's psychological barometer. Thurman was already in line to fight Spence for the WBC mandatory. Why would Boots go and stand in line behind Thurman? Hey, that's what I'm saying, man. Y'all talk that shit. Education is key. I tell people all the time, I like being educated. You know, I didn't know a lot of this stuff is in the chat. You know what I'm saying? At one point in time, I might have skimmed through it, but the refresher, it wasn't on my mind. So, you know, appreciate y'all education. You know what I'm saying? Education is key with this boxing shit. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you get older, shit, motherfucker be dropping off. You're like, I just thought about that motherfucker. What? I'm gonna go ahead and drink me some Geritol, put some little Splenda in that motherfucker. Blunt say, which means 1 and 2 will have fought for an interim title to decide who will fight the champion. That's what I'm talking about, Blunts. Talk to him, bro. Drop that KNOWLEDGE_. Appreciate it, bro. 51-year-old graduating college again. Congratulations, man. It's never too late. Boost left ranking and went to the IBF to take the easy route. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's what Bud B. Easy Routes was saying. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to go to a fighter that fits his, that accommodates them a lot more. They felt that Errol Spence was less dangerous than a Bud Crawford. Point blank, period. And then when Bud Crawford won, they had no intention of fighting freaking Bud Crawford. But yet the IBF saying, don't worry about it. We promised you what we promised you, right? That's when they sent that bogus ass paperwork over there, man, to strip that man of his title. They was probably getting phone calls talking about, there's nothing he can do. There's nothing he can do. There's nothing he can do. We're going to get you your title. There's nothing he can do. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing he can do, period. Boost seen Ortiz and Stantiones lead the WBO. They felt the heat, so they bounced. Everybody bounced up out of that joint, didn't they? Man, come on, bro. Come on. Everybody bounced up out of there, bro. Salute, Jessica. What's good? See you in the building. One love to you, Queen. How you feeling? Boost left the rankings before Virgil left. Blunts is goddamn coming in here with spears. Goddamn, the tip of them motherfuckers on fire. Goddamn, this is 300 all over again. This is Sparta. Blunt's kicking people down in the well, dog. Don't come over here and lie. Bing. Boost was ranked by the WBO in December 2022. He went into January 2022 as the IBF for the interim title against Koran. Yeah, for sure. Virgil didn't drop out of the WBO until February 2023. And Alexis was moved to number 1 since he was the NABO. Yeah, that's what's up. I remember doing a live on that shit too. He absolutely, you know what I'm saying, when, you know, to Boots' credit, Boots is trying to say that he didn't move out of the WBO until Crawford fought David Avanesian. So pretty much, let's back this up a little bit. The people and the teams knew that Crawford was going to fight David Avanesian maybe in November. You know what I'm saying? Even when David's name was still up there as an EBU and this and that, and they cleared that shit up, right? People behind the scenes, the teams knew that Crawford was going to fight David Avanesian. Period. There wasn't no dilemma. They weren't going to wait till the last minute, even though Avanesian was already scheduled to fight over in his backyard and defend his EBU title. So to say that once Crawford decided to face Avanesian, well, you're talking about when it was announced that he was going to fight Avanesian, because we really didn't see any change up until the end of 2022-23, and the box rec started to pick that all of a sudden you've been removed from the WBO, placed in the IBF, and you face now Koran Chudikin in January. I mean, like, that shit happened damn near at the end of December or something like that, or the 1st of January. And Blunt is right when he say December 2022, you were still ranked in the WBO. I even did a live that showed that you were still ranked in the WBO. So instead of fighting Virgil for an interim belt to challenge the champion, Boost went to IBF and got his vacant IBF interim title fight, a less dangerous Korean knowing that he would be elevated. True words, and I also look at it like this too. I wonder if Virgil Ortiz was even healthy enough to fight Boots, or whatever the case may be. But it would have been a very solid fight. I remember people used to, try to talk about, why don't he fight Virgil Ortiz, Virgil Ortiz, Virgil Ortiz. You know what I'm saying? That would have been a damn good fight. And Virgil has a better resume than Boots. You know what I'm saying? He has a better resume than Boots, man. He's been in there with the Igis Kavalaskis. You know what I'm saying? He's been in there with them dudes. But they continue to bring Crawford's name up here as if Crawford either duck Boots or saying that Boots been looking for Crawford since 1945. Nobody believes it, bro. Nobody believes you was looking for Crawford back in 2018, bro. I'm starting to think Jerron Ennis not made for walking. Not made for walking. Jerome Boots not made for walking. Has Tourette's online. WCS. He do get in those moments of stuttering. All you gotta do is tell the truth. You know what I'm saying, Martin King? You know what I'm saying? All you gotta do is tell the truth, Ron. You start to think of something that's not there, then you got I'm on camera. I'm on camera now. I'm on camera. I gotta remember I'm on camera. But look, check this out now. Once again, so people won't forget. Well, hold up. I just want to let y'all listen to one thing. This is 5 months ago.
We was number one in Spence organization, the IBF. That's who he's going after. That's why, you know what I mean? But 3. So we was number one in Spence organization, the IBF. That's who he's going after. That's why. So we was number one in Spence organization, the IBF. That's who he's going after. That's
number one in Spence organization. That's what they was going after. That's the real deal. They was going after Spence. They was going after Spence. That's what they wanted, man. They felt like that was a more appeasing freaking style for them rather than the dangerous, you know what I'm saying, apex predator of Bud Crawford. Period. You get a piece of, everybody get a piece of. For real. Let's enjoy that pizza, man, going into damn Thanksgiving. Ain't nothing like having pizza before Thanksgiving, goddammit. Because all you have to do is get your plate, wrap that shit up in plastic, take it out and put it in the car seat. So you already got that motherfucker waiting on you when you leave. Oh, baby, you ain't gonna eat. I'm a little full. I might eat some just a little bit later. I got some homemade banana pudding in there, some peach cobbler and apple pie. Well, yeah, I'll take that. You got some ice cream to go with that? Vanilla? Yeah, for sure. I got you. I'm gonna go in there with a pizza box. In the South, you liable to get your ass beat. You bring that to a Thanksgiving meal now. Outlaw pugilist on deck. What's good, man? 918 on deck. Salute to you. Green on deck. Martin King said, I had Boots in the contender category, just like Devin was back then. And even Tank is still in Boots category. They're elite prospects at best. So you put Tank in Boots category. There's no way that I can agree with that because he's had better competition. You know what I'm saying? He has way better competition than, what Boots has had. Even Mario Barrios at 140. You can't blame Tank for going up there fighting for a WBA regular when boxing recognized the title as a world chip. So you take that in consideration. They fought the world chip. And then, okay, I know people are not going to give him credit for fighting Gamboa as his first fight at 135. But they're not going to give him credit for fighting Rolly Romero at 135. But they're going to give him partial credit for fighting Ryan Garcia. You know what I'm saying? A guy who had the social media following, they might give him a little pass. But he might get some credit for fighting Leo Santa Cruz, man. But you got to give Tank a little bit more credit, a lot more credit than Boots, because he's a ticket seller. You know what I'm saying, Ron? You can't say he's a prospect and he's bringing in that much money to the organization. You know what I'm saying? People want to come out and see Tank knock somebody's head off. So you got to blend that into the whole formula that you're assessing to basically identify Tank Davis as a prospect. A prospect ain't doing no pay-per-views like Tank. You know what I'm saying? He's not bringing butts to the seats like Tank if they're a prospect. They have to go through something to gain fan respect. I just don't see none of them except Haney living up so far. Okay, and I can see where you at with it. I don't. Okay, if you're talking about they have to bring something to gain fan respect, I get it. And when you gain fans respect, what? They come and see you fight, right? But I don't know about the Devin Haney situation. I don't know about the Boots situation. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think Teofimo Lopez is way more exciting than Boots or Devin Haney. Seriously, you know. Yeah, Jerron Ennis can showboat. You know, he can do a little showboating in there with fighters like Korean. You know what I'm saying? Roman Villa. But what happened when he goes in there with competition that's supposed to be equal to where he's at, equal or greater to where he's at in his boxing career? Is he still going to shine on him? You know what I'm saying? Is he going to shine on him, or are we going to get a Korean Chudikin freaking performance where people's like, no, this ain't it? Let's not forget that wasn't too far. That wasn't too long ago. People tend to want to brush this under the rug because they want to lay all the criticism and slingshot that shit to Crawford's backyard instead of still holding Boots Ennis liable for the same shit and petty shit they used to hold Crawford. You know, Crawford fought this guy. He didn't fight that guy. He could have fought that guy. But yet, you fight a Korean Chudikin and that shit ain't it. You couldn't cut off the ring. You couldn't stop the guy. We're waiting on Ennis to have that breakout performance. When he have the breakout performance, it's going to be easy for people to gravitate to this dude. It's going to be easy because he's not a shit talker like that. He might tell some fibs, some stories, some lies, you know, every now and then. But, you know, I'm not here to be, to have people think I'm a saint. You know what I'm saying? Boxing ain't a sanctified sport. So you're going to have people lying and saying all sort of shit just for attention, period. It ain't no way in hell. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, you weren't looking for Crawford back in 2018, buddy. If you break it down, Avanesian had a better resume than Boots. Fought Shane Mosley, Josh Kelly, lost a 12-round damn good fight with Lamont Peterson. Yeah. Yeah. And also you have to look at it too, MD, that he fought Igis Kavalauskas too, bro. Even though he was stopped. You know what I'm saying? Igis Kavalauskas stopped David Avanesian in the 6th round. He still fought him. So basically combine that with the names you mentioned, it was a better resume. Absolutely. Better resume than Boots. Boots' resume at the point in time is just not it. So with 31 professional wins, you know what I'm saying? 31 professional wins and 28 knockouts. His KO percentage is 90%, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's 90%. But don't get it confused. Him and Deontay Wilder's knockout, the separation between their knockouts and their wins is not the same. Let's be honest. But he did stop Ramon Villa. But I'm just saying, him and Wilder's knockout percentage, Tank's percentage, it's not the same. You know what I'm saying? But good point there, MD. Monty King making moves. Boots just calling names and sitting back. Shout out to Green in the building. The thing about it is, after Ennis fought Clayton, he was the top guy in the IBF. Ennis didn't have to fight for an interim. Bozy had already petitioned the IBF, and Spence had to fight Ennis in 120 days. So if Ennis didn't have to fight for an interim, that's Korean Chudigan in January, because Bozy had already petitioned the IBF. Why didn't Ennis or Spence come up? You know what I'm saying? Why didn't Ennis or Spence even come up in that 120 days? Why wasn't anybody really, zooming in on Spence and Ennis having to fight in 120 days if the win he had over Custio Clayton put him, just per the ESPN article, put him in position to beat Spence's mandatory? A title eliminator, y'all, if you don't know, a title eliminator is different than fighting for the interim championship. You know what I'm saying? So if Jerron Ennis and Custio Clayton were fighting for a title eliminator, that's the same thing that Teofimo Lopez did with Masayoshi Nakatani. Teofimo fought Masayoshi Nakatani as a title eliminator, and then Teofimo won and went and fought Richard Comey. It's the same shit. You're going to get your title shot. Well, in this case, it didn't work out that way. You know what I'm saying? Ennis was never able to get his title shot with Errol Spence Jr. So once again, when it comes down to Crawford, yes, it's easy to extend arm and with your finger out and say that's the person that's liable. And Crawford didn't fight him. But what Green just said makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? If he sent it out to petition and they fight for eliminator, you don't have to fight for no freaking interim title unless the IBF is up to some bullshit. Period. 120 days is 4 months, ain't it? I'm just saying. Why didn't the IBF, put the motherfucking search and rescue team out there to try to make that fight happen? Avanesian was also the WBA regular champ for a while. All these little fine details is coming out about Avanesian. Once again, for those of you that's over there that's listening to these videos, understand that Avanesian, the way Bozy said we was higher than him on the ranking system. What's not going to be put out there is that all these facts in the chat, right? Him being the WBA regular champ and all that. That is fine criteria that Boots did not have in November, December 2022. He did not have these fine details. He did not have these achievements. These badges was not and still aren't a part of his freaking welterweight Wall Street. That didn't build up his stock at all. He did not have these in his possession. He didn't have the names on his resume. He didn't have the titles on his resume. None of it. He only got that when he fought for the interim in January. What's going, D-Ray in the building? What's good with you? Shout out to True Media Boxing Radio Coach on deck. What's good? You don't have to leave the WBO rankings in order to passively avoid the champ. Ortiz was number one for years and turned down the opportunity twice. Facts. That's absolutely facts. But the one thing I can appreciate about Victor Ortiz is the fact that his team said they weren't ready for Crawford. They said they weren't ready. Clearly, they understood that they weren't ready. Clearly, they wasn't going to play those games and pretend like they was ready for that Omaha Monster. They wasn't. That's what I can respect about Victor Ortiz. Instead of saying, you know what, we was in the WBO rankings and then we didn't leave and jump over to the IBF until he fought David Avanesian. Bro, it was nothing out there to saying you was going to get that fight. These cats are freaking killing it in the chat. They got all the fine details, you know what I'm saying, on you all won the IBF route. Bozy petitioned the IBF. Articles out early 2022 depicting, verifying that you all wanted to take the IBF route. Bozy on record, on audio saying that's what we wanted to go. We wanted to take the IBF route. Everything is pointing in the direction that y'all want to go the IBF route to face Errol Spence Jr. So it shouldn't be any type of damn conversation about Crawford didn't fight Boots. He didn't want to fight Boots and all this other bullshit I see on Facebook. There's too many facts in the chat. Those of you that's listening in that don't want to be a part of the chat, please hit the replay and see what all these cats are talking about. Is dropping facts in the chat. Fighting Cussio Clayton. You know what I'm saying? Ennis didn't have to fight an interim. Bozy had already petitioned the IBF and Spence was to fight. And Spence had to fight Ennis in 120 days. If you break down, Avanesian has a better resume than Boots. Fought Shane Mosey, Josh Kelly in 12 rounds. Damn, had a good fight with Lamont Peterson. You know what I'm saying? They have to go through something to gain fans' respect. And just don't see none of these except Haney living up to it. I had Boots in the contender category. It's people here that's dropping some good information out here, bro. They strung Boots alone, leading him to believe that he would get a Spence fight. When Spence went against the Machine to settle for an interim belt, went against the Machine, they settled for an interim belt. They thought they were getting step aside money. Green, man, you know, that's a solid point right there. I never really put focus on them receiving step aside money because I really didn't see the news come up that they was pushing Errol Spence to fight Boots like that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if I would have heard more about it, that, you know, Errol Spence needed to fight Boots or else. No, it just seems like Errol was so protected that they wasn't gonna push him to fight no Boots. Because truth be told, there Green, it was a lot of people that was looking to get paid off Errol Spence winning against Terrence Crawford. That's why they wasn't gonna push Errol Spence like they did Crawford. They wasn't never gonna put Spence in a position. Just look at the time he faced Carlos Ocampo back in 2018, and then everything that happened after that. And then people be quick to say, well, he fought Danny Garcia, he fought that person. You know what I'm saying? He fought Mikey. You know what I'm saying? Still the same thing. He fought you. You know what I'm saying? They give him a pass on basically his mandatory for the IBF. They give him a freaking pass. But I never really saw any news floating on the surface that they was even coming close to penalizing Spence or even giving Ennis step aside money. Ennis them kind of got screwed, you know, waiting on Spence. They really didn't understand that whoever said that he went against the Machine, they really didn't understand the power of the Machine on how protected Spence was, because they was going to get paid, bro. They wanted Spence to go in there with Crawford, and they felt 1,000% that Spence was going to go in there and run through Crawford, and they was going to make a whole lot of money off that shit. People don't understand how bad Crawford affected all the motherfucking the internal hardware that was behind Errol Spence in that fight. Crawford messed that up for a lot of people who was putting money on Errol Spence to beat Crawford. A lot of people lost money, bro. I'm talking about thousands upon thousands of dollars. That was the fight if you wanted to get paid or you wanted to get slayed. And anybody who freaking betted on Errol Spence got slayed. Period. PBC boys wouldn't know how to sell a tic-tac. Spencer say, I'm not taking short money. Oh, that money was very, very short. Like W says, he really be studying trying to say he good. He got a good story and wanted Crawford. I mean, if you're gonna say you wanted somebody, just have a little bit more content, a little bit more truthfulness to it. Don't try to create, you know, something saying, you know, I didn't jump out the WBO. Well, we already know, we seen the change. I did a live on, you know, how he elevated through the WBO rankings, and then right at the last minute, you know what I'm saying? In December, you was with the WBO. In January, you with the IBF. and you're set to face Korean. Come on, bro. Boots left the WBO because he knew Paco was going to call them to fight Crawford. Boots. I think you're saying Pacquiao. Boots had to get an interim to be taken out of the WBO. Remember, it was Thurman and Conor Benn after Boots. Yeah. Good point. Good attention to details, man. Good attention to details. Boots put his foot in his mouth. He said he would fight Bud 154. So with that being said, the belts wouldn't be an issue for his ass whooping. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be, man. Once again, you have people who are not really being patient in front of the lens or the microphone, and they don't know what extends beyond the mic. Once you speak in front of it, it extends way beyond the mic, and you have astute boxing aficionados that's gonna go back, hit the replay, and hold you accountable for what you said at that point in time. These fighters gotta understand that what they say is gonna extend way beyond the mic, bro. People gonna hold you accountable. You know what I'm saying? So just because it's like, okay, you never ducked no fight with Terrence Crawford. The people who was trying to set the fight up, it should have been a duck because they didn't set it up for your success. They just talking about they wanted to be a part of something. Oh, let me get these people. There's no way in hell I would have conducted business like that. I would have absolutely talked to if I was with BLK Prime, I would talk to the people with BLK Prime. And then if they're running the show, you know what I'm saying? I would talk to them. I said, listen, I need to get the contact to his manager and his father. And when I initially called Bozy, I would have had everybody on the phone just to get to the first phase. The first phase is, yeah, what y'all have going on? We was thinking trying to make this fight. We don't know if it can happen, but trying to make this fight. You would have had to have the manager on the phone, not Bozy, because Bozy, what you try to do if you really are professional, you try to eliminate the step process. You're not trying to make a deal and go through a 30-step process. If you know in boxing that fighters have managers, right? They have managers. Some have managers and advisors. You don't just go to the trainer just because that's his father, talk to him, and then he has to make phone calls and get back with you. And then you have to answer the phone. And then the person that you ask him to get to, initially Zab Judah, you have to get with Zab and Bozy. And all along, we're not hearing anything about Jaron Ennis's manager. The manager have to be in the loop for all of this. But the point that said it was doomed is when they said, initially, we can make the fight. How do you know how do you know that? It don't make any sense. How can BLK Prime take on a big name like Crawford and everybody's talking to one another, but nobody's talking to Boots yet? No one knows the itinerary of what Boots got. That's just too much, man. That shit was ghetto as hell. D Young on deck. What's good with it, brother? OG, Mr. Golden on deck. I see you. Yeah, I know. It says Tank's biggest critic. Boots has 31 fights. Andre Ward retired with 32 fights. Is Boots a Hall of Famer? Mind you, he has more fights at 147 than Crawford. Damn. Should you be putting up this much? Should you have the oven up this high close to Thanksgiving? Because I think you're burning the turkeys, Green. You know what I'm saying? You can't put a turkey into an oven and the motherfucker is at a temperature that's gonna burn that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Then you take it out and say, well, you know what I'm saying? This is Cajun this year. We focus on Cajun, throw some seasoning on top of that bitch. Green coming with the heat. It's good shit, man. You know what I'm saying? It's good shit. I mean, that make a lot of sense. Andre Ward retired with 32 fights. Is Boots a Hall of Famer? Mind you, he has more fights at 147 than Crawford. Crawford came over here and fought Jeff Horn in 2018, and the rest is history. But back in 2017, y'all, green, everybody, Boots was on the hunt looking for goddamn Terrence Crawford. When Terrence Crawford was at 140 pounds, Boots was goddamn hunting him down. I smell him. I need that belts. When Crawford beat Julius Ndongo, forget what you heard about Sergey Lipinets even being somewhere close to the picture. No. It was Jerron Ennis. He was on the hunt. He was going to drop down for 47 and goddamn, he was looking for Crawford. He was going to pull up and spin the block on Crawford at 140. But Crawford vacated. I'm surprised they didn't say Crawford ducked Boots Ennis at 140 and then vacate the titles and move up to face Jeff Horn. I'm surprised ain't nobody said that bullshit. Man, you know Boots was next in line, man, at 140. Crawford didn't want the smoke. He ran up to 147. So what Boots do? Boots went up to 47 with him. Boots dropped to 147. So you trying to tell me Crawford, he had two people that was looking for him, so to speak, or one person, because Errol was never really looking for Crawford. Errol was never really looking for him. Let's get that straight. Shout out to Cam, man. What's good? I am Cam Edwards is on deck. What's good with the one half of the apostles in the building? Salute, brother. 31 fights. If he keep this up, he can beat Floyd Mayweather's record. Well, I'm gonna put it to you this way. He can beat Floyd Mayweather. Ricardo Lopez had already retired. He was 52-0. Just to put it out there. And just to put it out there, it's somebody out there that's already undefeated. that has more, wins, but I'm just putting it out there. I guess he's not an American fighter. He's not black, so he ain't popular. Boots was advised to take the easy route via IBF. Yeah, man. Y'all know, man. Y'all gonna piss him off over there talking about he took the easy route. Boots was advised to take the easy route via IBF. If Spence actually beat Crawford, the ignorance would have whitewashed all of Crawford accolades, all because of fish that smoke blunts underwater. Ron, listen. If that fight would have went the opposite way, like I said before in my live, they would have had that fight in December. If he would have went out there and beat Crawford in a decision, they would have definitely fought in December. But when Crawford messed up the a la carte, everything that was in the cart, flipped it upside down, goddamn stepped on it. Juice all over the floor, food everywhere. You know what I'm saying? People yelling and screaming. The way he beat that man up in front of all those people, he really changed the world, man. And ain't nobody really going to pay attention to that until he out the sport. Because Showtime said, I'm out. I'm gone, man. I'm gone, man. I'm gone, man. Y'all told me that you guaranteed that Errol Spence is going to go in there and beat this Omaha native. And he beat the motherfucking strawberry preserves out his ass, man. He beat that dude up like he wasn't even on the same level. He was never on the pound for pound list. The man wasn't an Olympian. Terrence Crawford beat that man up very, very bad. Very, very bad. And he didn't do it in a reckless way that it'd be considered, you know what I'm saying, wild, you know what I'm saying, undisciplined, windmilling. He was in there just holding and clenching, scared to engage. No. It was very little clenching. And a lot of brutality, man. He fucked it up. He fucked up the boxing world. One person fucked up the boxing world. A person that they had put so little confidence in of his resume. He ain't fought nobody. For him to go in there and beat a guy with popularity the way he did. I'm gonna give y'all a word of advice. The popular guys, they're not with it. If you want to say, oh yeah, when you talk about money and pay-per-view, okay, cool. But Ryan Garcia and Errol Spence, when it comes to the popular guys, They took an L. They took an L this year for real. All these popular guys y'all talking about, man, so and so's popular. They're more popular, bring butts to the seats. You know, I don't know how many times I watch these dudes on live talking about how Errol Spence put butts in the seats. Put butts in the seats. Put butts in the seats. Look, Terrence Crawford put butts on the canvas. Just so you can know. So which one brings you more money? I know, I guess Terrence gonna lose on that too. You know what I'm saying? Because he put Spence butt on the canvas, and now they don't want to do the fight in December. I guess they was all butt hurt. You know what I'm saying? God damn. Boxing fans are sick and don't know nothing about boxing, especially Texas. I don't know about that, man. Texas is so huge, man. I couldn't group all Texas together. But if I was, you know, going from region to region and shit like that, I would skip over that goddamn furniture store though, because I ain't trying to get those freaking pledge fumes. You know what I'm saying? That furniture polish fumes. I skip over until he come up here and prove that he can coach against the best. I gotta skip over Dallas, man. I gotta skip over that. Anthony Joshua left. Ryan Garcia, I don't know what the fuck he doing. And then Errol Spence, he has to have the cojones to leave and try something new. But you know what? When people are complacent to get away with certain things with a coach like that, they're gonna stay there. Listen clearly. This dude, Diddy James, slapped this man in the head with a mitt on his hand. When that man is going in there to fight the biggest fight of his life, Diddy's up here trying to goddamn remind people he was a goddamn lead dancer and slap Spence in the head. Slap the man in the head, bro, with a mitt. If you ain't practiced that shit in the gym, then why the fuck you going out in public with cameras rolling, slapping your fighter in the head with a mitt? Just like goddamn Bo Mac said, no more motherfucking high, nigga. But Martin King, you was goddamn that shit would have. You talking about whitewashing? Oh my god, that shit would have been pressure washed 10 times over. That shit would have been pressure washed. Virgil Ortiz, those teams didn't pump fake like he really wanted to smoke. His team chose the WBO route and stuck to it. Yes, sir. Absolutely, they did, man. Yes, sir. Indeed. Seriously. Shout out to my guy Neezy in the building. What's good with it, Neezy? Hey, W says, why Bud ducking boots since 2018? Come on, man. I know, man. I've been trying to put together an investigative team to find out if it's any type of truth to it, because this can be a good documentary for me. You know what I'm saying? I really want to find out in 2018, where was he hunting? Was he at the arena when Bud fought Julius Ndongo and stopped him in the third round with a body shot? Was Boots in the audience? If y'all watch that fight on YouTube, try to watch the fight and look into the crowd and see if Boots was there. If Boots was in the audience, now we talking about a whole nother thing. Now he was looking for him in 2017. Now he might have been off a little bit, but if Boots was in the audience when Crawford was fighting Julius Ndongo for the undisputed titles, now we got a different story. Now we got a different story. I need that. I need that screenshot, y'all. But shout out to Neezy, man. Salute WCS, salute the chat. Salute to you, brother. Appreciate you pulling up, man. Knockdown 305 in the building at WCS and chat. Yo, what's good? Hey, man, I want to give a big shout out to the hottest chat in the MFing game, A-Side Official. Man, I hope y'all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope y'all enjoy it with family. You know, when there was no social media and everything, I just think that was the best holidays because nobody was on the phone. You went over there, and the only thing you really had to do was talk to family, go outside, you know what I'm saying? Go back inside, eat some more of that good Southern home cook. I'm not saying, I'm talking from down here in the South, but I want everybody to have a great holiday, man, because like they always say, not everybody is going to make it into 2024. You know, so I hope everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving since we're in the holiday season and the food is delicious. And if you can't put the fork down, you don't have no fork etiquette, don't come back on here talking about, man, I don't want to mess up nobody else's holidays, but they say my blood sugar is too high. I don't know why. One peach cobbler pie by myself couldn't do it. Man, goddamn, it didn't seem like it had that much sugar in it. Mug up there taking the whole motherfucking pie, dog. Grandma, just fix me that peach cobbler and that apple pie, grandma, a whole pie. I gotta have it homemade. Nah, hey, you go in there and eat all that food if you want to. Be on this motherfucker taking insulin shots. For real. Strawberry preserves that easy. You already know what it is, bro. Shout out to the Oracle himself, man. Trick Noti is in the building. Come on, what up, WCS? Man, let's check Martin King boxing. I'm in here in Texas. That don't apply to everyone, fam. Hey, you know what? You heard what I said, right, Trick? I said I skipped over Dallas, man, because of the world-class furniture store. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I said you can't group all Texas in there, but I will skip over Dallas where the world-class furniture store is at. You feel me? Damn, Trick, let me have my fun already. You an historian, though. Man, Trick is the plug, dog. Trick is the oracle in this motherfucker. He be reaching out to all the boxers that no one else has contacts, man. Really underrated in this YouTube shit. He don't put out content, but he got the plug, he got the contacts. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the Oracle Trick Noti, man, the plug, aka the plug in boxing. Hope all is good. Trick working on the X-Men gifts, having Turkey Week. Yeah. Hope everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving, for real. IBF equal FBI. They put Jerron Ennis in witness protection so he wouldn't run into Crawford. Hey, you know this is what I was waiting on. I was really hoping that Crawford, when he was over there at $1 million worth of gain, I was really hoping that he ran into Jerron Ennis. Like they did Errol Spence, and they can have a conversation and talk up, you know what I'm saying? But I knew that wasn't gonna happen. I knew Gillian Wallow would call him up, but I knew that they weren't gonna have no meeting like that because, like I said, I don't think they was really trying to fight freaking Crawford. Their overall manifesto included the IBF. It wasn't Omaha, Nebraska. It wasn't the WBO. And then when the man collected all the titles, history was made again. I'm telling you, Crawford really fucked up the game, bro. He took this earthquake to a whole nother level. For the first time ever, has a title, one title, exchange hands from 3 different people. We had the IBF come in and Spence on July 29th, changed over to Terrence Crawford, and then changed over to freaking Jerron Ennis. The IBF title, the first time in boxing history, we've had 3 champs hold a title, the same title in the same division in one fucking day, y'all. Spence held the IBF. Crawford had the IBF welterweight world champion, and then Jerron Ennis. Because the weird part is, you know, the IBF want to say they're going to backdate it back to February as if it's just they got paid off to basically, as Ron said, whitewash the accomplishments of Terrence Crawford. Because how can it be backdated to the 29th when Crawford actually won the titles on July 29th? So who was what? You know what I'm saying? What was the time that you're giving this freaking stripping of the title? When was Crawford stripped of the title? What was the time stamp? You just can't say July 29th because that means Errol Spence should have been stripped of the IBF championship. Truth be told, if you want to do it on the 29th, if y'all intentions was to sit up here and send a letter to Crawford, why y'all didn't send a letter to Spence while he was en route, just like y'all did Jamel Charlo with Tim Tszyu? Oh, when he steps in there with Canelo Alvarez, Tim Tszyu becomes the elevated WBO super welterweight world champion. Why y'all didn't do that shit? Why y'all let Spence come in here? I can tell you why, because it was nothing that was going to stop that fight, and they wanted their 3%, God damn it. So the IBF got their 3% off Spence for opening his mouth, and then Crawford beat the brakes off of him. And for Crawford's effort, they want to send a freaking bogus ass letter out here to say, you know what, you have this amount of time to start negotiation with Jaron Ennis. Man, come on, bro. So they wasn't able to do that. So they backdated to July 29th. I really want to see what that letter is. What's the timestamp on that? What's the timestamp on that motherfucker? I'm talking about what's the timestamp on how you can strip a fighter back to the date that he won the titles, though. Maybe one of y'all can explain that shit to me. How does that work? How does that work, people? You know what I'm saying? Trick said, appreciate those kind words. W says your work is underrated and not appreciated like it should be, but much respect to you. Appreciate you, Trick. Same to you, man. You know what I'm saying? Underrated, unappreciated, but hey, continue to do what you do, man. You know what I'm saying? Those who you do it for should appreciate you the most. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You do it for a lot of people behind the scenes, but they the ones who should appreciate you the most. PM on deck, he said the same thing that happened to Spence is going to happen to Boots when he finally step up and fight some elite fighter. I swear to God, this chat is goddamn in the holiday spirit, for real. That's why they the hottest chat in the MFing game, for real. He said the same thing's going to happen to Spence when he step up competition. One thing I'm not going to prognosticate, I'm not going to prognosticate a fighter's failure, all right? But then again, I can't be a hypocrite because I absolutely prognosticated Errol Spence's failure. God, forgive me, please. Forgive me for my sins, because I know not what I do. I did prognosticate Errol Spence freaking failure. I did. I prognosticated his demise, based off the strength of Terrence Crawford's ability to compete at a high level and be the best in the boxing game. That's where my prognostication was channeled from, right? But if I was to prognosticate Boots Ennis demise, there's no reason for me to do that. I'm not trying to see that brother's demise. I'm just saying that his resume needs to be upgraded. His opposition needs to be upgraded, and his performance value needs to be good enough to increase his boxing FICO so people can really start respecting him as a fighter. You have Philly on your back right now. When people mention Philly boxing, they mention you, bro. They mention you. And the wild part about it is I could have sworn that Blair the Flair said he was over in that area too. You know what I'm saying? Blair the Flair is over in that area too. I don't know. But I want to leave y'all with this also. Jihad Tucker is fighting December 9th. Shout out to Team Jihad Tucker. Back in the square, December 9th. With a guy who's ranked number 6 in the WBA as a middleweight, y'all, and an Olympian. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. Real talk. This is going to be a good one. Another tough fight. One thing y'all need to understand. This guy has no opponents on his record with losing records, and he's fought some tough competition to be as young as he is. He's only 20 years old. Who else out there 20? Who else is out there signed to a promotion like Top Rank is getting these hard fights, man? This is a hard fight for him. Just like Nico Seknashvili. fought highs is 175. He went in there and beat the brakes off of him. You know, he had an injury with Nico. That he took the loss in. He did. He had an injury, man. So he's coming back in here to pretty much face this guy who's ranked in the world by the WBA number 6, bro. And this man is dropping back down. Hey, man, y'all already know what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? That shit crazy. He said Boost fight cost 680 right now. At least you gave him something that was close to 700, bro. You know what I'm saying? You gave him something close to 700. He can get approved for 2,000. A credit card with a $2,000 limit on it. You know what I'm saying? Enough to get him a pack of freaking chicken tenderloins, a couple cans of veggies, some juice, some silverware, and go in the freezer and grab a couple of damn frozen desserts. Be able to heat them up too for Thanksgiving. That'll about put them at 1,800 right there. That'll put them about 1,800. Shit expensive out there. But hey, till next time, man, y'all hold it down. Continue to support the channel. And once again, shout out and salute to the hottest chat in the MFing game. A-Side Official, baby. I'm out.
Left jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss. Now you counting stars, should've practiced more. Should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports.